Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Constantine III, and you all know this video was coming. We're going to be talking about the one, the only, Hail of Blades Vayne. It's a really powerful build that has a lot of great trading power in lane and super high burst potential late game that synergizes very well with the Bork Rage Blade build. I have to give a shout out to League Analysis on Reddit. I saw his post and I tried his build, and this is the build we'll be talking about today, so credit where credit is due. Without further ado, let's get started. Alright guys, so this is the Rune setup right here, obviously Hail of Blades. You're going to be taking this, we'll talk about why it's so good in a little bit. In this tree, you can go Taste of Blood, or you can go Sudden Impact. You do proc Sudden Impact a lot, obviously, because you're constantly proccing it with your Q. How valuable that 7 lethality is debatable, since a lot of your damage comes from your Silver Bolt procs. But if you don't need the Taste of Blood in lane, it is definitely better to go for Sudden Impact. Next up is this tree. Eyeball Collector is pretty much undisputedly best. The other two things don't really do a lot for your damage output. Ravenous Hunter is very good because, in case you guys didn't know this, Ravenous Hunter does proc off of your Silver Bolt stack. So this will actually give you an incredible amount of healing in the game, especially late game once you have your Bork Rage Blade. More astute viewers will notice that I just changed my secondary tree in Precision. I actually had this set up wrong when I started this video, so my apologies there. But you really should go. I personally like going Coup de Grace and Alacrity. Obviously, the more attack speed on Vayne, the better, and Alacrity gives you a ton of attack speed, and Coup de Grace is just nice for finishing off low health targets. In terms of the little runes you have, the 10% attack speed is a must-have. I pretty much would never sacrifice this 10 adaptive force because you need it to last hit, and then down here, it's usually better to go armor or MR, depending on the kind of lane setup, but if you're really not worried about a difficult laning phase in any way, shape, or form, then go with scaling health. In terms of your absolute core build, you're going to want to go with, obviously, the Bork first, into the Berserker Greaves, into the Rage Blade. After that, traditionally, it's always a very tempting option to go for the Phantom Dancer if you don't feel like you need the QSS or the GA, but more often than not, you'll find that you have plenty of damage with these two items, so it's fine if you really want to veer off into a GA, a QSS, some sort of defensive item, a Hex Drinker, into Malmeritis, all good. In terms of after you get a Phantom Dancer, again, all those defensive options are still on the table. Don't value Lord Dominic's Regards very highly. All your damage is generated through Silver Bolt's procs. A lot of people may be wondering if you want to build IE with this build. I find that typically it's excessive and you don't actually need all that extra damage. It doesn't really do anything. A lot of your damage already comes from the fact that you're proccing Silver Bolts so much, so it's really not necessary, I would say, to go for the Infinity Edge. If you absolutely feel like you need to one-shot squishies, then why did you pick Vayne in the first place? Frozen Mallet is actually not that bad of an item on Vayne. You get the auto attack slow, since like we have red buff all the time minus the burn, and it gives you a ton of extra health. So if you're looking for just a little bit more survivability for your final item and you have all your core damage items, don't sleep on Frozen Mallet. Hail of Blades Vayne is best used with a Silver Bolts max. There's a couple of reasons why you can do this. Number one, a while ago, they buffed your Q cooldown at level 1 to 4 seconds instead of 6 seconds. This means that when you use your ultimate, you have a 2-second tumble cooldown, which is very reasonable and allows you to do a lot of stealth kiting. You also built a lot of attack speed with this Hail of Blades build, so you get the most bang for your buck out of having a Silver Bolts max. All other skill orders besides that are exactly the same. In laning phase, you should be looking for very quick trades. Make sure you have a stack of Hail of Blades up and wait for the enemy to get out of position or to approach you. Being aggressive Hail of Blades will typically not work out in your favor, as the enemy can very easily just walk away from you. Your general trade pattern should be auto, auto, Q, auto. This will give you maximum damage. Sometimes it's best to hold your Q to dodge a skill shot if you know it's coming, so just triple auto and then use the Q to dodge the skill shot. In general, defensive and reactive is a better playstyle as you are weak in laning phase. Hail of Blades does not make you dominant in laning phase. Remember that you still lose to Draven and you still lose to all other lane bully matchups, so make sure to play it safe and slow at all times. Overall though, your laning power is increased, so don't be afraid to scrap it out either. At level 6, you're a force to be reckoned with when you have your ultimate up and 3 points into Silver Bolts. Always make sure to pay attention to if you do or do not have a Hail of Blades proc. Remember that you can't have entered combat in the last 4 seconds. That means doing damage or taking damage in order to regain your Hail of Blades proc once you've already used it. Being mindful of this will save you a lot of headache in the future when you end up trying for an all-in when you don't actually have your Hail of Blades proc. In the mid and late game, you pretty much play this version of Vayne exactly the same as you would any other Vayne. Wait for the enemy to use all their CC and then engage in the team fight. In general, you don't want to start grouping for teamfights until you have Bork Rageblade Tier 2 boots. Before that, your damage really isn't that impressive, and you're definitely going to want to farm it out until you get those 2 items. After that point in time, you still gain in power, but your most significant power jump is from no Rageblade to having a Rageblade. Anyway, guys, that's pretty much everything you need to know to make Hail of Blades do some work for you. Hope you guys like the build, hope you guys enjoy using it, let me know what you think of it, and yeah, again, shout out to League Analysis for showing this to me on Reddit. Take it easy, guys, and thanks for watching. Have a good one. Maybe? No, you!
No!
What? You're obviously an e-grill!